Alright. How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading with the prices going up or down. Over on the Dixie for the daily, we did get a bit of a jump up, as we did hear that the interest rates may be getting cut, so that could be positive for stocks and crypto. We may start to see them act a little more correlated if we do start getting interest rate cuts, but the probability for that to happen tomorrow is still at 99.8%, I believe, that we're not going to get a cut. So it's like 99.8 or 99.2. So either way, there's less than a 1% chance that we would get that rate cut. But we are trying to push forward here. We do have a gap below us. Remember, gaps typically have an 80% chance to fill, so this could end up being retraced if we're not careful in the coming days. Stochastic does want to push up. That's our double line on Market Cipher B. Remember, we are using Market Cipher B edits and Market Cipher A free version 1.1. This is all in TradingView, which is free as well. So over on the Dixie for the daily, we do want to push up overall, but that stochastic is getting pretty overbought. I would exercise caution. If it starts to reject in this overbought area, we will see RSI start to curl away, and price action will follow that RSI. Our VWAP, our yellow wave, is starting to round off, so I would watch that VWAP very close on the lower time frames. If that VWAP starts to break down, our momentum will round away, rejecting that neutral and possibly bringing that money flow lower. So we do still have the chance to see bearish strength here. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a little bit of a rising channel. Remember, rising channels do break you down. Not everything that sounds good is good. So this rising channel could end up pushing us below this area right around that 104,895. So that would be very close to our 300 EMA, that black line. Remember, that's a very critical level to watch on this Market Cipher A. Our Market Cipher A inputs are as follow with the same the style here. So we do have 2 touches to the top, 3 touches to the bottom. If we end up rejecting and breaking through here, that would likely be what would happen. However, if we do continue and bounce, we could invalidate this rising channel, and we could see Dixie attempt to break that 105 level. Our stochastic does want to round away, RSI is weakening, momentum does have bearish divergence, VWAP does have lower highs and wants to break for a lower low, so I would watch that yellow wave close. If that VWAP does continue to sell off, that blue wave, our momentum will continue to round away, and our money flow will go from being green into the red, and we will see a sell-off there as well. Over on the 2 hour, we do have that bearish divergence on momentum that does want to push us away. RSI is pulling back as that stochastic is overall selling off and staying in the oversold area. That VWAP does have a lower high, and we are breaking for consistent lows. If we stay in the bearish territory from here, momentum will continue to weaken, and that money flow could follow. Over on the 1 hour here, we are overall pushing up. We did consolidate right around here. We filled this gap we created, so that shows how those gaps can fill, but we do still have that gap on the daily, so we could come back and revisit that level. Our RSI does want to pull back. Momentum does want to round away. That VWAP is favoring bearish. We do have a lower low, and we are starting to curl. If we make this lower high here, we will confirm a bearish trend that will bring momentum lower. Money flow would then break, and that would be positive for the crypto market. So over on total for the daily, we got our full breakdown, so hopefully you were watching that. If you were not, then that probably came as a major shock to you. But we did get our full breakdown. That did bring most of the altcoins lower with it. We could see a bounce here. We do have a bit of a wick, but that doesn't mean this wick has to fill. So watch if we can break above this golden pocket area on our Fibonacci range. Remember, we covered the Fibonacci retracement zone on that Mastering the Trade series. If we can break above this level and hold above it, then we would have a chance to run to our 674. We do have a very slight gap between these candles, so that could give us some hope. RSI does want to pull back, stochastic is starting to push down. VWAP is favoring bearish, and the momentum does have a lower low. If that VWAP continues to favor bearish here, money flow will reject further, and we will see the daily breakdown, possibly seeing this bear flag breakdown channel, possibly right around that 505. So we could have quite a sell-off on our altcoins if we do not hold in this range. Over on the 4 hour here, we are overall starting to drop away, so we did get quite a move down. We tried to consolidate, tried to make a bear flag. Bear flags aren't good. They do bring you lower anyways. Stochastic is pushing down. RSI is losing strength. Our VWAP is favoring bearish with these lower lows and lower highs, but it's trying to break bullish. If our VWAP can sustain bullish momentum here, we will have the chance to solidify, bounce off this range, and then continue forward. If you look, we have had several retracements, but they have not been into this range since we got this quick break up back here. That is back around May 24. So since then, we have seen quite a bit of a run up. We never retraced that quick move down or quick move up. Now we have a quick move down. If we meet that support, remember, one quick move one way is usually retraced by a quick move another way. Stochastic does want to round away here. RSI is pulling back. That VWAP does want to favor bearish, so be cautious. If that VWAP does reject, momentum will remain bearish and money flow would break down, weakening the 4-hour and the daily. Over on the 2-hour, we are starting to round away. I would exercise caution. Stochastic does want to round as well. RSI is starting to round. Momentum is trying to push forward, but if that VWAP does reject away here, we will see momentum bring that money flow lower. Currently, our VWAP does have higher highs with higher lows, so we do have a bullish trend on the 2-hour. If this bullish trend can continue, momentum will continue further, and we can bounce off this area that we have mentioned that we could break down to. So that could be very positive. Again, we would need to break above that 674 and our 300 EMA, that black line. That black line that's curling down here. Over on the 1-hour, we are starting to round away, so exercise caution. If we continue to round away, we could see a further breakdown, but this could also make a descending channel. I don't really like that channel much. You could say these wicks are close enough for you, and then these highs could be this high and this high. We would then have technically like 3 touches to the bottom and a possible rejection. I'm going to delete it and call it more of a bearish continuation channel that could continue to bring us lower. VWAP does want to round away. Momentum is starting to curl away as a result, so watch that VWAP close. We do have higher highs with higher lows. We want to see this maintain in the bullish territory if momentum is to gain strength and push that money flow further up. And if that money flow can start to gain some strength on the 1-hour over several candles, then it's likely the higher time frames could gain some strength as well. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we are running up, but we did see most of the market pull back. So again, that shows why that doesn't really help much. Stochastic is pretty flat. RSI does want to run up. VWAP is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding. Money flow is remaining bullish. So overall, we are seeing Bitcoin hold better than altcoins. That's what this is showing. But this doesn't necessarily tell you Bitcoin is going to run up. Over on these lower time frames, the 1-hour VWAP is starting to come down. Watch if it breaks bearish. If it breaks bearish, we could see dominance decrease, but we could also see altcoins run up. Finally, remember, we do have that ETH ETF that did get some approval the other day that could help propel the markets forward. Remember, when we got the approval for Bitcoin, that did help push Bitcoin up, but didn't happen right away. Over on the daily, we are starting to round away after rejecting that value area high, so we did mention to watch for that. We did not make the bounce on this symmetrical triangle, and we did pull back to our point of control. We did try to break down to the full bear target of the symmetrical triangle when we tried to break that point of control, so we will delete this triangle now. We have been whipsawed all over the place. That doesn't mean we can't continue higher, but I would exercise a bit of caution. We do have some lows here that could connect, and we have some highs that do not connect, so that is pretty good, because this could create a bullish continuation channel that would be the opposite of that bearish continuation channel. Our momentum does want to pull back, so Stochastic is starting to drop down. We do have bearish divergence here, so I would watch that VWAP close. If that VWAP continues to break down, we do have lower lows and lower highs, so if it continues to break down, momentum will continue to pull back, and we will see the potential to break to that 65.5 again and possibly continue lower if we cannot hold there. Our next level of support would be around our value area low or around that 61,790 that we've had mapped. And then if we do not hold that, then we could push down to around the 56,995. So we have quite the drop we could make if we do not hold the 60K range. And then remember, we do still have that gap around 20K. Not saying it has to fill, but they have an 80% likelihood. So if we do start tumbling, we may tumble all the way down there. So momentum does want to pull back. Stochastic's dropping, VWAP's favoring bearish. The daily doesn't look very strong. Over on the 4-hour here, we did get a bounce off that 300 EMA, and we are trying to create a rounding bottom. This could be very positive, as that bounce off that black EMA, that 300 EMA, could signify we came down to that 1200 hour candle on this time frame. Remember, it's 300 of what time frame you're on, and we did make a bounce. That does show we are continuing forward, and we do have the potential to run up. We would need to break that 69K and hold very strong. We do have a little bit of a gap here to it, and then a gap above at that 69.8. So if we can sustain bullish momentum here, we could see that run to fill those gaps after making that bounce off our EMA. VWAP does want to push up. Momentum is gaining strength with a double green dot. Money flow is still bearish though, so I would watch. If that VWAP does reject and this is just a fluke high here, then we could still break down. Watch for those higher highs with higher lows. We do technically have it now, but we want to hold above that 0. Over on the 2-hour, we are coming up to our 300 EMA, and we are starting to struggle. So this is where you're going to want to watch if we can break above and hold. If we get rejected by this EMA, how's it going, Bill? Hope you're doing great. If we do get rejected by this EMA, then we could continue lower and start to tumble down. Stochastic does want to round away. Our RSI is going pretty flat. VWAP is pretty flat, but it's bullish, so I would watch. If it can sustain, that will be positive, that would push momentum higher, and that would give our money flow some strength to run price action further and try to retest that 69K level. Over on the 1-hour, we do have a bit of consolidation here. So over on the Discord, we did warn of consolidation after the breakdown. We did look like we could have that. Then we just spilled under. We did make a bounce. Now we have some consolidation after that bounce up. That could create what's called a bull flag, the opposite of the bear flag, that could continue to push us up. We can draw that with our parallel channel here. I will capture the wicks too, because sometimes I capture the wicks and the candle bodies. We will draw from the bottom to the top, then you apply that up, and that could give us a break of our 69K and a break of our 300 EMA. If we get rejected by that EMA on the 2-hour though, it's not likely we're going to push up to this EMA on the 1-hour. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is going pretty flat, but if the stochastic does not sell off, that RSI will continue to push up. Our VWAP does want to favor bullish. We do have higher highs with higher lows. Momentum is pushing up, and the money flow does want to continue to gain some strength, and it's not gaining much strength as that momentum is still bearish. So if that VWAP favors bullish here, momentum could break bullish and start to bring that money flow higher, which would, after a few candles, start to strengthen those higher time frames. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, we did break of our head and shoulders almost like an hour or two after we broke of it. We covered it in the Discord. We said, hey, we broke down to both our levels, referring to the head and shoulders and this inside bear flag. Now, if you missed that video, we did mention that if we can bounce off this range for this flag would still be in play because we have 2 touches to the top. This would be our 3rd touch to the bottom, 1 here, 2 here, 3 here. So if we can meet support here, we do still have the chance to push up right around that 80K level. However, if we do continue to reject and we break down again, then it's likely we will break down. So watch the lower time frames very close. Our momentum does want to round away. RSI is losing strength. That VWAP has lower lows with lower highs, so I would exercise caution. It is a bearish trend that's causing momentum and money flow to break down. Over on the 4-hour, we did see that quick breakdown. We did break our EMA, but now we're holding above it. If we can continue to hold above our 300 EMA, that will show that we did get a break of that critical level, and then we did retest it and we gained bullish favor. That bullish favor would be able to push us up, but again, we need to stay above it. If we reject below it again, the bears could start to have a field day there. Our side does want to pull back here as stochastic is favoring bearish. Momentum does want to push down, but as a double green dot, as that VWAP does want to break bullish. So watch if that VWAP can break and hold above the 0. If our VWAP can break and hold, then we could see that momentum gain strength, and money flow may try to push up after getting a little fling to the bearish territory. It's just above neutral, momentum's heavy in the bearish territory, so if momentum does start to round, that money flow will start to feel a lag. Remember, it could sell off a little and then pull back bullish. So over on the 2 hour here, we are getting a little bit of consolidation after getting this run up. So that could be positive. Again, that could give you a bull flag scenario. Our stochastic does want to push forward. RSI is going flat. The VWAP is in the bullish territory, but it's going flat as well. So I would watch. If that VWAP can sustain, momentum will continue forward, and that money flow could try to start to flip into the bullish territory. But we need that VWAP to remain bullish and momentum to break up first. Over on the 1 hour here, this is where we had that consolidation after our breakdown. We did warn about seeing that consolidation. We did warn it could give us a pretty strong break because we did have a long pull area, but we invalidated that full breakdown after getting this rounding bottom here. So that is very positive. Our stochastic does want to round away. We do have the blue above orange still, but we have been overbought for a while. So I would just watch for a pullback. If we pull back and break that 30, RSI will start to pull back and price action could follow. But if we pull back and stay above 30, RSI could continue forward still, as we would still be bullish. So that'd be a retest and then a push up, and then we could see price action bounce forward with it. The VWAP does have higher highs with higher lows, so we have a slight bullish trend pushing momentum toward our neutral. If we can maintain this bullish trend here, our momentum could break, money flow could flip, and then if that sustains for several candles, we will see those higher time frames start to gain strength as well. So over on graph for the daily, we got a breakdown toward that 250 EMA. We did fill this candle wick behind us here. Sorry, as I adjust this, need to take a drink. My throat's getting scratchy. So we did see that break. We got about half of our move down. So if you're looking for any kind of buying opportunity, you would ideally somewhere between these critical EMA levels. Our RSI does want to sell off here, as that stochastic is favoring bearish. VWAP did reject that neutral twice, and we are starting to round away. So I would watch if that VWAP continues lower, momentum will continue to favor bearish, and that money flow will not push forward. And that will give us the chance to push down to our 1636 if we break that 300 EMA. So over on the 4 hour here, we are struggling to hold above our green EMA. We need to hold above this and push forward if we're going to get any kind of bullish momentum. RSI and stochastic are dropping. VWAP is favoring bearish. I would watch if it rejects here. We will have slightly lower lows with lower highs. It will cause momentum to start to drop, and money flow could start to drop as well. So over on this 2 hour, we are rejecting that EMA. We did try to come up to that EMA, and now we are starting to pull back. This is a bearish engulfing candle, where this red candle is as big or bigger than the previous green candle. RSI does want to pull back. Our stochastic is favoring bearish, is starting to round, so I would watch. That could start to break that RSI lower and cause a bear flag to kind of play out here. We do have that consolidation after a breakdown. Again, that flag under this flag could continue the flag's breakdown. VWAP is kind of struggling. I would watch. We want to hold with higher highs and higher lows. We do technically have that, but we need to stay above the zero with strength. Right now, we don't have much strength. Momentum does want to push up. Money flow wants to gain strength. So if that VWAP can sustain, momentum will push forward and money flow will continue forward. But if that VWAP breaks down, it's likely we will continue lower. Our stochastic does want to round away here. RSI is pretty flat. VWAP does want to break down. It's very indecisive. We need to zoom in to kind of see it. It is in the bullish territory, but it's starting to pull back to that neutral. So we have a lower high with a higher low. So we're very indecisive here. If we do break for a lower low, we could start a new bearish trend that could end up breaking us lower. Our momentum is in the bearish territory. RSI and stochastic are pulling back, and that money flow could start to break down if that VWAP does not gain some real strength soon. So over on Ankr for the daily, we did get pushed down to that value area low like we have been warning about, and we are holding on our 300 EMA. If we can bounce here, that would be very positive, but if we break here, we would have the chance to break that 34.85, and if we do not hold that, we do have those other critical ranges, like around this 31.48, and right around that 27-cent zone. So, and then we have like 15 at the bottom of our Fibonacci range, which if we break that, that's getting into lower lows. RSI does want to pull back. The stochastic is dropping away. Momentum is selling off. VWAP is favoring bearish. So watch if that VWAP rejects for a lower high here. If we get a lower high, we will have that bearish trend that will bring momentum and money flow lower, resulting in price action selling off. Over on the 4-hour here, we are rejecting that EMA. So watch if we cannot break above and hold that EMA, just like everything else. If you can't hold above your lower EMAs, you will continue to break down. RSI is struggling here as that stochastic did break down and is starting to favor bearish. If that stochastic does not bounce, RSI could help suppress price. And if that VWAP stays in the bearish territory and rejects across here, we will see a continuation to the downside. Momentum is in the bearish territory and that money flow is clinging to the bullish territory. So I would watch if that VWAP does reject that neutral, we possibly will see the money flow follow. Over on the 2-hour here, we do have that bearish engulfing candle, just like we mentioned before, that does want to continue us lower, so I would exercise caution. Stochastic and RSI are starting to round. VWAP is barely in the bullish territory, but if we zoom in, it is starting to round away. So I would watch if it breaks down, we could see a new bearish trend form. Momentum would then stay in the bearish territory, and our money flow would continue this rejection of the neutral as well. So over on the 1-hour, we did try to break and hold above our EMA, and now we are starting to reject. If we continue this rejection, we may get lower lows with these lower highs. I would watch that could make a descending channel. Remember, descending channels are good because they can push you up. Remember, not everything that sounds bad is good, and not everything that sounds good is bad, but that could push us to that 37.67 if we are able to create a channel. Right now, it would be very loose. I would wait until that second touch to determine if there is one or not. Stochastic does want to round away. We do have that orange above blue. RSI is pulling back. VWAP does want to break that neutral, so I would watch if that VWAP does make that break. Momentum will continue to round. This red dot will bring money flow lower, and we will see those higher time frames start to weaken, as this 1-hour has been bearish for quite some time. So over on XRP, one of our favorite coins here, we are seeing a sell-off. We did reject that channel, so again, if you did not see last night, we mentioned if we get a rejection of that channel, that could push us down toward that 44 again. And if we cannot hold that 44, we have areas like the 38 and 35 cent supports. RSI is in a bearish trend as that stochastic is continuing to break down. VWAP has lower lows with lower highs, so we have a bearish trend there. Momentum is breaking down, causing that money flow to sell off. So overall, that daily doesn't look very good. Over on the 4-hour here, RSI does want to start to round as that stochastic did break. It did try to push forward with this blue above orange, but right now it doesn't look very strong. So I would watch if that blue does round away. If the blue line rounds away and crosses under the orange, we will have bearish favor that will break RSI lower and bring price action lower with it. Our VWAP does have a lower low. Watch if we make a lower high or break bullish, try to go and then reject. We could see momentum favor bearish and money flow could then break down. So those are some things you want to watch for. If that VWAP continues a bearish trend, we likely will see those lower support areas. On the 2-hour, we do have higher lows with slightly higher highs, but this high isn't very weak or very strong on that VWAP. So with the VWAP not being that strong, it could easily be retraced and we could see the bear still gain control here. That could create a descending channel as well. But again, just like Ankr, it's not very confirmed yet, so I'm not going to draw. Stochastic does want to round away, RSI does want to pull back, our momentum is in the bearish territory, and that VWAP does want to round away, so if that VWAP breaks down, money flow will reject away, as that money flow will start, our momentum will start to sell off, bringing money flow lower, and that will show we have more selling pressure on these lower time frames. If that selling pressure continues, we could see further sell-off. And thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a great day. Our stochastic does want to round away here. RSI is starting to go flat, so if that stochastic does get a breakdown, RSI will cause price action to get another leg down. Again, we could make a descending channel. That descending channel could try to push us up in the end, but we will see further losses first. VWAP is in the bullish territory. It's starting to round away, so if it can bounce off that neutral, getting a higher low, we could gain some bullish favor, and then that would push those higher time frames forward. However, if that VWAP does break through our neutral and pushes lower, momentum will reject, money flow will continue lower, and the 1 and 2 hour being bearish could break this 4-hour down. And if that 4-hour does break down, we will see the daily start to weaken from there. And again, we could push to our 44 and 38 supports if we're not careful. So over on Algo for the daily, we did break our 1618 level like we mapped out with this flag possibility. That could give us a push down toward around that 1342 if we're not careful. So I would exercise caution. We do have that like 1412 support area as well in between there. So watch for a hang up in any of those zones. RSI is starting to pull back. Stochastic is starting to push down. VWAP has lower lows. We are starting to pull back. So we have continued weak highs starting to reject that neutral, causing a bearish trend, causing momentum to pull back, and money flow is remaining bearish as a result. That does show we have more selling pressure on that daily, and if the lower time frames don't gain strength, we could continue to break down from here. Over on the 4 hour, Stochastic does want to round forward and bounce, so I would watch. This bounce does look pretty decent, as the blue is well above that orange and starting to split off. If that split can continue, you do typically see decent runs when they split and run up. So you got a little bit of a run back here, we got a split back here, got a little bit of run back here, that's where you got a split there. So that is trying to push that RSI forward, but as we are still below the 30, RSI will continue to weaken. VWAP has lower lows, watch for a lower high. If we reject that neutral, momentum would then remain bearish and money flow would continue to pull back, resulting in the daily to break down. So over on the 2 hour, RSI wants to pull back, Stochastic is starting to round. That VWAP does want to round away. Momentum is in the bearish territory, and the money flow is rejecting due to the VWAP pulling back and money flow or momentum remaining bearish. So if that VWAP does not push off the zero, we will see momentum remain bearish. Money flow will continue to break down, and the higher time frames will continue to weaken. Over on the 1 hour, Stochastic does want to round away. Our RSI is starting to pull back. The VWAP does want to break the neutral. It's starting to round. So watch here very close. If we do break down, then we cannot get above that zero. We could see a new bearish trend. However, if we do make that bounce, momentum will continue further. Money flow could start to break bullish, and then we could start to give those higher time frame strength if we can sustain a bullish trend. Thank you for watching tonight.